Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Medic Regional Blood Center, new sponsor here on the Sports Source. Happy to have them in the family. Coming up on September 11th through the 15th. That's the 11th through the 15th. It's the 11th annual UT versus Florida Blood Drive. It's a contest going on in Knoxville and Gainesville. That is the 11th through the 15th. Donors get coupons for area restaurants. They get a T-shirt. Plus, and I mentioned this earlier, all men over 40 can get a free PSA test. Very important. Medicblood.org is where you can go to learn more about the donation centers. It's an important thing for you to do. Medic Regional Blood Center. Check them out at their website today. All right. Quick slant questions in this segment. We're going to give you about 30, 45 seconds a pop to hit on these. Bob Hodge, I'll start with you. If Tennessee calls Aaron Medley to kick the short field goals, but Brent Samaglia, the freshman, they call on him to do the long field goals, do you have a problem with that?
No, not at all. That's not a position, I think, where you have to get into a rhythm like a running back, quarterback, some other position. If you've got one guy that's a much better long ball field goal kicker, use him. Have no problem with that at all.
Agree. All right, Jimmy Himes. It's possible, doubtful I think, but it's possible Shy Tuttle could play in this game tomorrow night. All right, he's got a history of leg injuries. Georgia Tech, with that offense, it's cut block, cut block, cut block. Mm-hmm. If you were Butch Jones and Shy Tuttle, let's say he's 100% ready, he's ready to go, would you send him out there for his first game against this bunch?
Here's what makes that question hard for me. If you guarantee that if I sent him out there I'd win, yes. Can't guarantee it. Considering the injuries he's had with the knees, I would be very concerned about that, and in deference to some other people that I've talked to about that, I wouldn't play him. I would not put him in that because I just think he's making himself more susceptible to being hurt. If he gets hurt again, I think that's going to almost destroy your season or your defense.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
Okay. Will Overstreet. Rock Gullickson has been praised for the new strength and conditioning program he's built over there. Guys are bigger. Question is, though, it's one off season. How much of a night and day difference can you expect in terms of the team's overall strength after one off season?
I think you're going to see some difference. It's a matter of how big a difference can you tell over a group or over a number of groups. I mean, the best place to be able to see something like that would be the offensive line area, but those guys also are sometimes coming out of two-point stances, so you can't always see the benefits of that. But I think overall, I mean, definitely good offseason from a guy, especially if they haven't been doing that, can turn one guy from, Bruce Wayne into Batman. He can all of a sudden take night and day steps of he becomes a different player on the field. But seeing that over the group is going to be a lot harder to judge in a lot of different positions. But I definitely think you're going to see improvement. If that improves, it's going to make you better. There's no doubt about that.
What worries me is, I think and I can attest to this, it's easier to fall out of shape in a year than it is to get into shape in a year. So that would be my concern. You saw last year what happened. We saw it right off the bat against Appy State. They're getting pushed around on both lines. Now are you going to be a juggernaut out there? I think people expect it to flip back the other way, and I don't know if it flips back as quickly as it goes.
That's correct. I don't think you're going to all of a sudden go, wow, those guys are putting guys in the cheap seats, after this, driving people down the field. But you're going to see improvement. So I think that's where you come out.
And if they are putting them in the cheap seats, then that's raise time for Mr. Gullickson.
Yeah,
all right.
Exactly.
Josh Ward, last question here. Butch Jones has beaten a top 10 team in South Carolina in his first year. He's beaten Georgia twice. He's beaten Florida. He's also lost to Vanderbilt once in his first year, but then once in his fourth year. Been throttled by Alabama, never beaten a team in the SEC West. He's had goods, he's had bads, but is tomorrow's game, in your opinion, the biggest in Butch Jones' Tennessee tenure to date?
Well, I know coaches will tell us that the biggest game is your next one, but I don't think this is the biggest game for Butch Jones. It's big, but think about if you win the game, you still have SEC games coming up in a couple of weeks, and that's where you really will have a chance to prove yourself. If you lose the game, it hurts, but does it hurt fans as much as losing to Vanderbilt? So it's a big one. Good and bad, there's something to take from it. It's a big momentum game, but I think when you get to Florida and you get to Georgia later this month, those are the biggest games for Butch.
Okay. Does somebody agree with that one?
I think it's the biggest game for him if he loses.
We've talked about that before. Losses always mean more than wins.
Yeah, if he loses, I think it's his biggest game.
What do you guys think? Is this
I think it's the biggest game for this year.
Okay.
Because I think it sets a tone and gives you the confidence that you would need to go forward to try to win some of those other games.
I do too, just because I think if you lose this game, the turmoil outside is just going to start picking up louder and faster than it was.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. When we come back, Chuck versus Pearl. It's year 3, but we're changing things around. Now everybody has to go on record with their picks, and then we'll see who's closest to Sterling and Chuck. Come on back as we pick the games tomorrow's game. Today, come on back.